Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to Grand Tactician, the Civil War, the Whiskey and Lemons DLC. We've recently been promoted to Colonel in this role-playing game, but we still command a regiment. That being said, I think we're going to change that. We have 3,100 prestige, which is actually enough if we really wanted to basically skip the rank of Colonel and jump all the way to Brigadier General, but that seems like a misuse of our resources. Instead, a Colonel can command a brigade of forces, and so I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to look around for a force that has a reasonable amount of supply to see where it makes the most sense. We're currently commanding a regiment in the 1st Division in the Army of Northeastern Virginia, which has a couple of decent brigades, but has struggled with supplies and recently lost another battle. So I'd rather find somewhere perhaps with a little bit better morale, where we can slot in as a brigade commander. The 5th Division down here looks interesting. 100 supply, plenty of ammo, plenty of provisions, and just recently won a battle defending Richmond. So let's see if we can maybe take a look at that. So you can see our current regiment is the 2nd Wisconsin, which we've spent some time building up. It's got 565 troops in there. It's a pretty solid unit, I think, and also has good weaponry. But if we're going to look elsewhere, let's take a look here. This is Shank's 1st Division, Hunter's 2nd, Heinzelman's 3rd. We said either the 4th or the 5th Divisions, I believe it was. The 5th is under Dixon Miles. He's only a colonel. We can actually take his spot for about half our prestige and become a division commander. But before we jump all the way up there, let's take a look at some of his brigades. Let's see what he's... Whoa. Colonel Thomas Davis's brigade has how many regiments? 16th New York. That is almost 800 men. 18th New York. That is almost 800 men. 31st New York. Almost over 800 men. An artillery battery of 5 10-pound Parrott rifles, the 17 Massachusetts with over 700 men, and the 23rd Massachusetts with 900 men. These must all be pretty much green. They're all 12-month contracts, actually, which they only have 18 days on some of these units. So some of these units are a little bit older, but that 23rd Mass is going to basically be eviscerated soon. The other units are all 2- or 3-year volunteers with at least 10 months left. They're probably mostly green. I'd be tempted to look and see if there's any other decent. I can't tell. Like, are these militia? They don't appear to be. What about the 4th Division? Is there anyone we'd want to take there? I mean, I'm inclined to take. Ooh, there's some cavalry here. 2,700 men, Springfield rifled, Smith carbines. We could take a cavalry brigade, Lewis Hunt's cavalry brigade. It's only got 1 regiment of cavalry, though. The rest is arty. Heinzelman's 2nd or 3rd Division. Yeah, I mean, some of these are big divisions, but honestly, I'm just thinking Colonel Thomas Davies Division, 4,000 men. It's like 5 brigades. I think this is the one. How much prestige? Only 700. So yeah, let's do that. You'll be appointed as commander for this unit. It'll cost us 695 prestige. Obviously, Colonel Davies will not like me. So we just took over McCormick's. Well, I guess it's McCormick's now. We just took over Davies' brigade here in the 5th Division of the Army of Northeastern Virginia, a relatively new division. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 regiments, although one has contracts expiring in 18 days. So it'll be 4 regiments perhaps, and then an artillery battery here. I'd like better weapons. I don't know that we have enough. We don't to upgrade any of these guys. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But in any event, we now command a brigade. Huzzah! We probably just pissed that guy off. He'll probably hate us now, but you know, such is war, such is life. So 5th Division, Colonel Dixon Miles, 84% rifle, 58% artillery ammo. Provisions are at 100%. Forage is at 100%. We're sitting in Richmond, Virginia. Thank you to the 2nd Wisconsin for kickstarting our career. We do have grudges with Colonel Quinby, who was the brigade commander of the brigade we took from him. And we can now spend a little bit of cash on some new stuff. I think the spyglass is new, right? Yeah, we can get a spyglass. I don't know if that increases my prestige. Just lets me observe things at greater distances. Sort of a signal of our importance. Get rid of those army binoculars with a spyglass. We can channel our inner Horatio Hornblower or something. Spend $100 on that. Is that 1,000? I spent 100, but oh, it's 702. It was, I thought it was $8,002, but it was $802.60. Got it. Okay. So we do that. Anything better than cigars? I think we also can have a glass flask. I don't know if that's more prestige, but people have noticed your personality changing recently. You're not a religious person and don't care too much about the church and its teachings as a religion, or at least as appearing religious. It is important to many in today's day and age that they find it hard to trust you. So I'm secular. Because I apparently got a spyglass and I now got a whiskey tumbler thing, that makes me less trustworthy, I guess. Can't upgrade the sword till division level. I think we can get a slightly better revolver, a muzzle-loader, percussion cap, ball, and pistol from a prestigious British gun manufacturer. Hell yeah, give me that. We lost some prestige for being secular, it looks like. And then for our horse, I guess I can go with a race. I don't have enough money for a better horse. I only have $500, so guess we're going to have to leave that there. No more, just a plain horse for our brigadier. I don't want to spend a ton of money on a workhorse. Although workhorse, this horse used to be heavy labor. So are all the horses better now? No, we can't even choose the plain horse anymore. So I'll save the money and keep it. We can also have a nicer uniform, but again, I don't have a ton of money to spend on that stuff, so we'll keep our plain fittings. Maybe we'll get a better one if we become a brigadier general. I do like the idea of a slightly nicer hat. I love the hardy hat look, or maybe the fine black hat look. Maybe the fine blue hat. We'll do the fine black. I don't want a Shako. I'm not in the artillery. And I'm not going to wear a regulation hat for an enlisted man. So basically it just upgrades from the simple black hat that we're wearing to the fine black hat. $75, we'll do that. Doesn't look like I lost any of my skills by being promoted, at least not on this screen. We might have lost them if we go to the division manager here. We go down to the brigade section. You can see we're only, that's roughly the same. The administration's a little bit down. I don't quite understand the difference between the administration on this screen and the screen that we were looking at. But in any event, we've been promoted to brigade command because we used our political influence to get the promotion. And I'm not sure there's a lot else to look at, and so we may just want to move forward and work on our next thing. It doesn't look like I have any more cards unlocked, although I can do infantry specialists using prestige to become a better infantry officer. Increases my experience of my infantry units under my command by ½ star. Cavalry or artillery. We can do any of the three. They're all prestige. Almost all my units are infantry, so we'll do that. That's the maneuvers card option. That'll take 32 days. Our headquarters also now has the option of an adjutant general. So we did keep our aide de camp, who again? Samuel Carter. Doesn't look like anyone's better than him. But we did lose our we did lose our quartermaster and our, I guess there's a subsistence officer now too, and we have an adjunct general. So we could use some prestige to get a staff. We don't really have one. We can use Captain Joseph Plummer. I don't see a second in command option. Subsistence, I'm assuming this is like a supply chain officer. Yeah. John Stevenson. I'm just going to pick the best one for each. Captain Paul Clayton will be our quartermaster. So there you go, spending a bunch of prestige to get my brigade set up appropriately. Hopefully these guys will get better and we'll earn some experience with them. I'm a heavyweight? I'm 186 pounds. Dear Lord. My health is 100%. Maybe I should lose some weight. Let's save some cash and drop down to army provisions. Will I lose weight? My health will take a hit. I'm going to keep gaining weight until our army is on the move. Dear God. Slowed movement speed in battles. I'm not that heavy. 186 is not that heavy, especially if you're tall. I guess we don't know how tall I am. Hand-to-hand combat. When does that happen? I wonder if there's like a real heavyweight, because we are not that heavy. Our next action might have to be fat camp. We might need to spend some prestige to lose 40 pounds. Make us a real skinny one. Anyway, let's go ahead and start the clock. See what happens here. So the units in the north that we were part of routing, moving south. Oh, new command. You're now in command of an HQ, which can have multiple infantry, cavalry, or artillery units attached. You can manage these units, including recruitment of new ones. Your HQ is attached to a higher HQ and operates as part of it on the campaign map. You may influence decisions of your commanding officer and others using prestige. During battles, you'll command your unit and will receive orders from your commanding officer. You'll gain prestige, fame, and experience from actions of all the units under your command. You may also try to influence policy and project choices, but due to your relatively low position, it's still expensive. So if we were to, let's pause this here real quick. I was given command of the 2nd Brigade, a fine unit, especially now with me commanding it. So we could go into projects here, maybe. I don't know if we can. So yeah, we need 4,000 prestige to convince someone to do the corn is king policy. So like none of this is really, we don't have anywhere near enough prestige to influence any of these policies. I don't know about, or those what are they? Projects? I don't know if we have enough to influence any policies. Yeah, we still don't have enough. That'd be over 3,000, so. Anyway, but we're sitting here in Richmond. It's a fine day in Richmond. Waiting to see what happens. Hopefully our boys stay in supply. The readiness of the division is okay. Heated exchange of words with Colonel Davies. So probably another grudge. Oh, there's a battle going on down here to the southwest near Amelia Courthouse. Looks like we won that. I was not part of that battle. But we're surrounded kind of. Like we've got this left flank in Virginia. But if we look up here to the north, there's 2 rebel divisions in behind us. I don't know if our supplies maybe will come from the west. Our division appears to just be sitting in Richmond and not doing anything while other divisions are moving to try and clear the forces to the north. So I'm not sure. There is a battle going on up here, but we're not part of it. Looks like we lost. So it looks like our division's primary goal is to just sit in Richmond and defend that. There's another battle coming. It looks like the Rebs are coming south. Pillow's division of 10,000 men. Our division is going to join the fight with the 1st Division of the Department of Virginia after 16 hours. The initial force under the 1st will be outnumbered about 2 to 1 and have low morale. The 5th Division, meanwhile, we have almost the entire division is low morale, but we'll be joining the fight here after about 16 hours. So we'll go ahead and fight this battle and see how this plays out. Hopefully the battle's not decided by the time our force arrives on the field. The Battle of Hanover Courthouse, Virginia, July 4th, Independence Day, 1862. Hopefully we can win a battle now that we've commanded a large force. They may all be rooks, although I'm hopeful that they've actually fought in at least one battle based on the fact that we do know there was a battle fought in Richmond shortly before we took command. Oh, we didn't even get to fight. All the units withdrew from the battlefield. Well, shit. It didn't even say anyone fought. It looks like we just withdrew. I guess 16 hours outnumbered 2-1 was a long time for the 1st Division to hold out, so they must have withdrawn before we got there. Well, that is not an auspicious start to the command of our brigade. I didn't see that. But we've withdrawn north from Richmond. The Rebs are kind of in behind us. I don't know where we're tracing our supplies from. What about it's saying my health is taking a toll. We're still at 186, and we're at 99.9% health. Manassas Junction, so defeat up in the north near Manassas. So this is the slight problem with relying on the AI, is this front line makes no sense. Like the 4th Division of one of our forces just fought up here. Something's burning down in Manassas. Meanwhile, we've got divisions south here near Richmond. We're up here. It looks like we're about to fight another battle here. 35,000 rebels versus 16,000 federals, but it's going to take our division itself 20 hours to get there. So I'm kind of expecting this to end the same way the last one did, where we didn't even get to fight. Like our troops didn't even arrive in time. Because if they're really outnumbered like 6-1 for almost a full day, I mean, even when we arrive, we'll be outnumbered 2-1. But we'll have almost half. I think we'll have like 7,000 almost, or at least about a third of the total troops under the Union command. So maybe we can influence something with that many good regiments. We'll see if we get into the fight. You know, one of the things, and this isn't unique to this game, one of the things I really feel like strategy games in general do a poor job of is maintaining like an actual sensible front line in games like this. In games where there's a clear front line, like World War I or World War II games, that's a little bit less of an issue. But in games like this, like Napoleonic games or Civil War games, there's never really a sensible, like, a unit occupies one spot, not a whole line. And so in strategic games, there tends to be this weird hodgepodge of front lines that is not as satisfying as you would think. All right, so it does look like we're going to deploy. Where are we deploying? Is this our brigade right here? Yeah, we're deploying near Stonebrook. We're already in defensive positions. It is 4 o'clock in the morning, July 11th, 1862. We're the 5th Division here. We've also got the Department of Virginia boys with us. Department of Virginia has about 10,000 men. 5th Division has about 6,000 men. The 3rd Brigade is all cavalry, only about 1,000 men total. Our brigade is the 2nd, I believe, with about 4,200 men. So we've got like almost a fourth of the total forces on the federal side under our command. The rebels have 39,000 men. Jesus. So we are heavily outnumbered. My division's ordered to defend Stonebrook. Your brigade is deployed to the front of my line. If the enemy approaches your position, engage and defeat him. Okay, well, those orders are simple enough. We're in that position already. You can see our brigade is in a double line here with an artillery unit to the front right. We've got 2 brigades up in the front, 3 back in the rear. Four of our brigades had low morale due to previous defeats before I was in command. So it looks like that's a little bit of a problem. Now, as a brigade commander, I'd look to see if there's better ground. I don't love that there's a wood directly in front of us, so maybe it makes sense to deploy out in front of the woods. The wood also has maybe the edge of a fence line, so maybe that's slightly better to defend from. I'd frankly rather defend on this high ground in this open area, so the enemy has to advance against us, but we also don't really know where the Rebs are going to come from. Probably up from over here, but we'll see if our orders change. Either way, we're in position already, so our troops are already in the combat zone. Let's deploy our force in double line up here. Just advance. We're going to advance ahead of the rest of the division. It's 4 a.m., but again, I don't love my position. It is sensible, but it doesn't, I don't know. It's sensible that the division is all in line. It's not all that sensible that we are located where we are, in my opinion, because there's a much better defensive terrain up to our front and right. And while it does come off a little bit sicklesy, I think I can hold up here better. And if they deploy skirmishers on my flanks, then great. That'll protect my flank from being enveloped. Also, in a double line, I can always refuse my front. Much more easily, too. We'll put the arty up on this hill. Should have good line of sight on any enemy troops moving toward me, and I can support it with skirmishers. Fall back as needed. It does look like this is a defensive battle, which I think might be my first defensive battle yet in this game. Not ever, but in the DLC in any event. Okay. Let's go ahead and deploy some skirmishers. All right, our arty's moving up this hill. Skirmishers to the right of them in this wood line. Skirmishers to the left of them on this roadway. We'll move our commander up here. And we'll also set the division's engagement range to long. Looks like we've got 40 rounds per weapon. We're using Springfield smoothbore muskets for all of our units as far as I can tell, which is not great. None of our troops are rookies. None of them are experienced, but none of them are rookies at least. We're going to deploy one of these guys over here on the right. So my reserve regiment is going to go forward up here, just to try and hug this tree line here along the stone bluffs. I'm assuming the enemy is going to move across this area and then attack whatever this objective is here on the left directly. We'll probably be out of the initial fight. I don't know why the AI formed its troops up facing east. I would expect with the enemy deployment zone up here, the enemy's going to come down on their flank almost. But we don't have any intel, and it looks like actually the troops are repositioning. So perhaps we'll get some new orders, because 5th Division Commander Dixon Miles is coming up behind me. Deploy to engage. Our scouts report the enemy units are spotted in our area of operations. Okay, where? Oh shit, they're coming up behind us. Okay. All right, boys, I guess turn around. I deployed in the wrong direction. I didn't see there was a deployment zone behind us. So we got at least some enemy cavalry coming up. Two regiments of cavalry that we've spotted so far. Presumably their van. It looks like we've got the 14th Pennsylvania up. How much prestige would it take to take over the 14th? Only 67. Charles Devons. His boys, not terribly experienced, but we need to buy some time, so maybe deploying forward. Smith's carbine's not a great... whatever. I just got a brigade. I shouldn't start telling people, no, this is my command, not yours. All right, so the 16th New York is going to be the first unit of ours moving into position. They were in the rear of our position, kind of in a reserve formation. The enemy is moving up to form into position. If I was them, I'd use this wood line here on the right rather than attacking directly up the middle, and it actually looks like that is kind of what they're doing. They're marching right for the woods. It'll be interesting to see how they deploy, but that appears to be what they're doing. My boys are taking their sweet time and coming back. Would have thought the skirmishers would move too. The whole command was ordered, but maybe the skirmishers are detached. Engage at will, sir. All right, well, now I can just engage as I see fit. I have no specific orders. So we're going to move these guys into the wood line here to prevent them from flanking me. I'd rather you not move quite on that angle, but... All right, we'll move forward at ×2 speed. It is 6 in the morning, so just the beginning of the day. About a brigade up here on the right. Possibly looks like they're moving into flank. Maybe not, though. They're repositioning, so they're pulling out of those woods, as far as I can tell. Moving into this field, perhaps to engage the other troops deployed in that area. Not sure what the AI is doing here. I'm going to position my whole brigade up here on the left. Let's move them into single line. Enemy artillery is opening up. 16th New York is taking a casualty. They are being bombarded. We're moving to the single line. Let's move them up here on this flank. Looks like the other troops are forming up in the middle. The enemy appears to be forming up there as well. So I would like to move my troops up into this wood. A little bit of high ground here while the skirmishing occurs with von Steinwehr's detachment up here with several Confederate regiments pressing up on the skirmishers. And then maybe if the enemy advances down this kind of valley, if you will, between these two wood lines and along this roadway, maybe we can hit them in the flank. We will see. But some additional skirmishers of Edward's detachment are moving in that direction, and so our boys are trying to get into position. The problem is they're not going to have good roads to move there, so it's going to take time. Also, some of these guys are marching in line, abreast, which is what I would do. I don't think I'm going to have a chance to... Let's just deploy these guys up. I don't know why I'm deploying on the flank of the skirmishers as if they're going to form up, but we're deploying one of our regiments. The 16th New York probably will get shredded. Extremely close range against an enemy with about 140 more muskets than them. But you know what? Maybe we're more experienced than the Rebs, and if we aren't, at least we're buying time for the rest of the brigade to move into position on our flank. So we're getting some nice prestige as these units move or fire into the enemy. Form this artillery up here back on the main line, which looks like it's back here. 23rd Mass. Really don't want to engage in the open. Looks like we're actually inflicting more casualties on the enemy than they on us. This is going to be a clusterfuck. I'm deploying the 23rd Massachusetts in now. Casualties are evening out a bit. Not in a good way. I should probably retreat, right? Is anybody gonna come up and help me, or are you just gonna sit back there and let me die? Sit back there and let me die. Okay, let's retreat. All right, we stopped the enemy advance. It looks like the rest of the formation has managed to form up. Even our artillery's getting into position here, so I'm going to try and pull these regiments back without them routing. They're losing heavy casualties, 50 men in the one, 32 in the other, more lightly engaged. Looks like the 16th New York routed. I need to rally them. They should be relatively easy to rally. Their cohesion is broken, but they didn't actually lose too many men. They lost, what, 50 men? Almost 60. Artillery's opened up here in the middle. The skirmishers have routed, but the other boys are fine. 23rd Mass is kind of in the open. We're going to move them up over around this flank a bit. Into this wood line. In case the enemy is forming up heavily just on our division. I hope the other federal troops are coming back to help us. It looks like they're just sitting. Oh, there's another engagement going on over here. So the rebel force, this is almost like, was it Pea Ridge, I think, in Missouri, where the Rebs split their force and hit both front and rear of the federal forces. Didn't work out for the Rebs there historically, but that's kind of what's going on right here. Remember, the Rebs have almost 40,000 men. They can engage us on equal numbers fore and aft and still have twice as many men. Or I guess that doesn't make sense. They can outnumber us 2 to 1 while we have our forces split. We've got skirmishers on the left here, right? Yeah. Alright, so they've driven back our skirmishers. The other AI units, mostly artillery, to our right flank in the open. Our 18th New York is sort of anchoring the position there. Smith's detachment is going to go over here on this flank. Twenty-third Mass is kind of the hinge into this wood line. Can we build some breastworks? I don't know that we have time. I'd like to. Are they in the woods? Doesn't look like they are anymore. The enemy is apparently trying to deploy some skirmishers to our front. They are trying to flank us. The enemy's considered in the woods at this point. It's just like us. So that will not be quite an advantage. We've got 3 regiments sort of on the right flank of this wood line engaging the 56th North Carolina. We're going to hit them in the flank, so that'll at least be nice. Looks like there's some rebel cavalry here. The 8th North Carolina also charging forward at a bit of a rush. But yeah, we already pushed back the 56th. 60 seconds also coming in, firing in on our flank a bit. Advance these guys over here. The 31st on our far left is engaging with the enemy 34th North Carolina. We've got some skirmishers also over here. The Rebs are coming up around our flank. We're in some serious trouble here. I don't know that there's a lot I can do. I mean, we have a good chance to hurt these troops here in sort of the armpit of this line, but there's a good chance that we will be overrun on our left, where I've got 2 skirmisher detachments and 1 regiment of 31st New York. Mass is not in great morale. Didn't I have another regiment somewhere? Where'd they go? We got our artillery here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 5 regiments I've got. Alright, well, we routed 1. Looks like we routed the 56th. Got a nice little morale bonus for that. Let's get our commander over here on the flank. They're trying to come up and around us. Remember, we've got just a detachment on each flank here. So far, the detachment, Smith's detachment, has taken the bulk of the flanking fire. From 3 rebel regiments coming up on these 140 skirmishers or so. Our artillery has taken some serious punishment. Come on, boys, do your best. Right, we're gonna pull these guys up and around to try and refuse my line in this woods here, if they can get there before these skirmishers get pushed back. The rebels are kind of pushing forward, then pulling back, then pushing forward, which is making repositioning difficult. They seem to be comfortable losing troops here. We routed another regiment, thank God. The battle does not appear to be going well also. At the strategic level, we've lost twice the enemy casualties, which I can only assume means the brigade on the other side of the battlefield is not, or the division over here is not faring well. That indeed seems to be the case. Is this mine? No, it's not my regiment. Artie here is in some troubles. All right, we're going to use the 17th Mass to try and stabilize the right flank here, while the 46th, or is it 16th New York, comes up to support them. And also the 23rd Mass. Problem is 3 of these enemy regiments are in cover, which means that not only do they outnumber me, but they also, like, we don't have a terrain advantage. We have routed multiple enemy units, though. Looks like two enemy regiments have been routed to 1 loss of our own. Some of these boys are inflicting very heavy losses on the enemy. 11.5 there. We've lost over 400 men, but we have at least inflicted some reasonably heavy casualties on the enemy. Artillery continues to fire away. The other regiments in the brigade are not... It's really just us. It's our brigade. The rest of the division is pretty much gone. And it's only a matter of time till our boys rout. charge these guys. Hey, we routed another enemy regiment. 34th North Carolina. Some of these enemy units are actually low on ammo, which is interesting. Not sure why. It's interesting. I don't think these guys on the right are flanking them at all. Any chance I can knock out this 5th battery? Where that New Yorker unit retreats or routes? Meanwhile, 31st New York has lost 178 men. 23rd Mass is in a little bit better shape. 32nd South Carolina is being pulled back. I don't think I saw that we got a route advantage, but they certainly at least hit the retreat button. Alright, the 5th North Carolina battery is also pulling back. Pull these guys back into this wood line here. Steele's detachments routing. We're going to pull our arty back into this wood line here too. Meanwhile, the bulk of the Allied troops pulling back towards Stonebrook, the objective. The enemy's pushing on the other objective up here. Looks like there might be one brigade left in good fighting shape. Maybe. There's some skirmishers there. The entire division down by us. Blanker's brigade is all panicked. Engage that artillery. Alright, so we got 2 regiments in good cover, inflicting casualties on the 38th New York, which is in the open. We're going to bring the 18th New York back to support them. We've now routed 4 enemy regiments, so we've basically routed an entire brigade all by our lonesome. Gonna pull my artillery out if they can get their 3 guns in position to fire down into the flank of the 14th North Carolina. Like they're trying to turn on our artillery so they don't present their flank to the artillery, but now they're presenting the flank to the infantry. Feels like an opportunity to rout them. Meanwhile, the 16th New York is trying to rout the 11th North Carolina battery. Doesn't seem like they're inflicting any casualties there, but there are no enemy troops there. We are a little winded, but we're going to go ahead and charge this battery, see if we can knock them out. I only see 50 men. There is another battery in supporting distance. Looks like we may have routed them and ourselves. Alright, boys. Now retreat. You routed the battery. Good job. Guys, where are you going? Don't chase those guys. Let's stay in this wood line, okay? Okay. I'd prefer to stay in this wood line. You retreat. Even if I hope it doesn't cause you to break, but just get out of there. I'd use the fallback command, but it seems like the fallback command just instantly results in you dying. It just takes a little bit longer. So the retreat command may result in me dying too, but I'd rather try and save him more quickly. Only 10 men are left from that battery, so we wrecked him good. But yeah, we're doing okay prestige-wise here. We haven't spent anything. We've gained almost 600 from casualties inflicted, a 140 from being in our ordered position. We just lost another 10 from a rout. Two 10s. They both ran. They must have been under artillery fire and convinced him it wasn't worth it. All right, let's pull back to the objective, I guess. We can sit on this fence line if they're going to come up from the south. Meanwhile, there's a major action going up here in the north. This division is not going to hold. We did manage to get casualties much more close. 2,200 to 1,800, although it's a much greater percentage of our force, but in theory... I feel like the brigade has done reasonably well for itself, given the circumstances. We certainly gave the Rebs a bloody nose. Hey, those boys look like they rallied. Brigade back north, get them out of artillery fire, get them up toward that fence line. Maybe we can dig in before the night. I think the battle is going to end up in a rout anyway. The only reason it hasn't is because we routed so many of those enemy units. But this is not a great situation to be in. What is going on? Where are these guys charging into? Okay, well, I guess we'll stop the retreat thing if they're going to charge up on us. 16th New York is nervous, but the 18th North Carolina just seemed to want to charge us. Other units are pulling back to this fence line, along with other elements of the division. We're a little bit surrounded, just a little bit. Ammo's very low. But hey, we got some ammo left. We're not at low yet. We're not at 0 yet. So let's give these Rebs a lesson. Come on, boys. Fire a volley before they withdraw out of range. Or just don't. Hey, boys. I need you to not run, 34th New York. Don't rout. Form back up in good position. I'll take care of you, lads. I've done a good job so far, I think. I'd like for these guys to move. Okay, they are, finally. They're moving under artillery fire through woods. Oh, great, these guys routed. Probably because I have it set to times 20 speed. As I understand it, there's some morale checks that don't work very well that way. Alright, trying to reform some of our boys. We are pursuing a little bit. Alright, So we're almost in position. We'll slow things down. Looks like the Rebs have run into this 14th Pennsylvania on the road. Be nice to take charge of them, but whatever. We'll put 2 regiments on this fence line. Actually, we'll put 3 there. Put the artillery to the right on the roadway. What's the other objective going? The Rebs have already overrun it. They may be coming up behind us soon. All right, boys. I'm surprised we haven't, like, it hasn't hit us with a major defeat yet. With as many units of ours as have been routed as they have. This force is standing pretty strong. The other division is now deciding it wants to fight more and is delaying the enemy while we get into position. These regiments could come up from behind. Their bulk of the enemy force up here is pursuing right toward the remainder of that other division. So we're effectively surrounded, boys. Not a good situation to be in. I think we may have bloodied this division facing us enough that they may not be in a hurry to push against us. Of course, now we have this this other force coming up, the victorious regiments. Let's move our boys up this wood line here. We've got other units guarding the rear. Move 3 regiments in on the enemy. Two considerably larger regiments than ours, probably not with ammo problems. But we do have the advantage of being in cover. Well, we should, but it doesn't actually look like we've got that advantage. Sure why. Maybe if we fall back a few feet. These guys aren't considered in cover either. I don't understand. I see trees here. Still no cover. Okay, well, I don't know what else to do about that. Firing into the flank of the 56th North Carolina, which is engaging the 14th Pennsylvania. Maybe we can rout another rebel unit. Got 2 regiments in line along each other. That'll help with the discrepancy in unit size. We're trying to bring the 34th New York up to fire into their flank. Just for some reason taking flank fire, even though this regiment over here is not firing yet. Meanwhile, the 18th New York, it looks like they routed the 56th North Carolina, by the looks of it. Or at least compelled them to retreat. Because these are like point blank troops. Just shoot into their frickin' flank. Well, now they're turning to shoot you in an open field fight. That's great. Are we tired? We're not. How many men are here? 900? Bayonets! Charge! Ride 'em, boys, and hand to hand. You can do it. We're charged by a determined foe. And our first regiment routed. Come back there, boys. Looks like both our regiments routed there. 31st. Wow, we lost a lot of men. We didn't even inflict that many casualties on them. Rally, boys. I didn't have too much ammo to shoot with. Rebs are up on this hill. They're gonna crush us. This is just a matter of time. I think we'll jump to the end. There you go. Defeat in the battle near Richmond Bridge. 3,800 out of 16,000 Federal infantry. Our casualties, 108 of its 1,700 cavalry. 4,100 boys total. Confederates lost about 3,600, but remember, they had 40,000 men. We had 1,800 or 18,000. Our particular brigade, I feel like, performed reasonably well. 964 casualties inflicted on the enemy. Although, if we think about it now, we probably lost considerably more. We did rout 4 enemy regiments. 3 of ours are considered routed. So that's not great. I guess we'll see what the post-battle phase shows us. It's considered a minor defeat. I'm assuming, I don't know if they got to the high enough percentage. But yeah, that was a bad fight. I feel like I'm always ending in those kind of fights where I'm just outmatched. I think I fought reasonably soundly tactically early in the fight, but they just kept coming. Oh, he is defamed. So one of my regimentals is defamed. I could replace him, actually, because he's under my command, I think. My own particular self, I did not get critiqued. So if we take a look at the regimental history, the Colonel Charles Smith's regiment, the 16th New York, suffered 264 casualties, inflicted 335 on the enemy. The 18th New York suffered 296, inflicting 439. The 31st New York suffered 310, inflicting 487. The 17th Mass suffered 211, inflicting 247. And one of our commanders is wounded, Colonel Robert McCook, suffered 406, inflicting 612. McReynolds' artillery suffered 27, inflicting 77. So overall, that brigade, I would say, fought pretty well. We need to get a new regimental. Thomas Davies is pissed I took his brigade from him. We could put him in charge. He's the only one I have the authority to put in charge. He's the only one not read it out, so I guess we can assign him to a regimental command after we took his division, but he's totally happy with me now that I put him in a regimental command, now that I give him something back. He's like, all right, thanks for the chance, sir. In any event, we've got 2,700 men that are effectives right now with 1,000 disabled, so we'll have to see what we're going to do moving on, but that'll be for another video. Until next time, our pocket near Richmond's being destroyed, and our forces are being forced to withdraw. It looks like West Virginia is nominally under our control, but in central southern Virginia, things are not going as pretty. We'll see how that plays out in the next video, though. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out.